Welcome into OutKick the show. I'm your fearless leader, Clay Travis. It is Monday. We have had a heck of a weekend of college football and NFL action, which I will dive into in a moment. But right off the top, you can tell I'm not in my normal studio. In fact, I am in my New York City studio, where we are up for the promotion of my brand new book, Balls, which comes out tomorrow. It would mean a lot to me if you guys would go buy a copy. You can buy it on Amazon, get it delivered tomorrow. You can buy it on barnesandnoble.com, booksamillion.com, whatever your preferred book shopping location is. They should have copies of this book. What is the story here? It's about how Democrats lost young men by being identity politics-focused pussies, and how Trump took advantage of that to win the 2024 election and help, we hope, to restore sanity in America thanks to sports fans and also thanks to young men. There's also a deep dive in where we are culturally and the impact of sports and what it means going forward. It is coming out on the one-year anniversary of Donald Trump's election win. I really do believe that many of you will like it. I am donating all the proceeds to charity. This is the sales part of of my life where I have to go around and say, please go buy this. I'm in a fortunate spot where I don't have to worry about the money that I make off this book. There have been lots of times when I've had to worry a lot about the money that I've made off books. I just want this one read by as many people as possible. So if you've got kids, if you got grandkids, if you are out there and you think, hey, maybe Clay Travis can connect with somebody. Heck, maybe you got kids like mine who don't read very much. This is a book that I think they will enjoy. There's lots of sports in it. Hopefully there's a lot of humor in it. Again, I think it's a well-done book that I hope as many people as possible read. So please go buy it wherever books are sold. It will be out officially tomorrow. It's called Balls. This is what the cover looks like. You cannot escape it. I want to sell as many copies of this as I possibly can. So, Balls, go read it and put it on your list unless you are someone without balls, in which case maybe someone needs to buy this book for you and taunt you by saying, hey, this is what you would be if you actually had a little bit more testosterone and if you had balls in your life. So go read it, Balls by Clay Travis, subtitle, How Trump, Young Men, and Sports Saved America in the 2024 Election. Okay. Let's dive into what we just saw in the world of the college football and NFL universes. And let me go ahead and tell you right off of the top, my goodness, what an unbelievable win for SMU. I say unbelievable, but it feels incredibly consequential for them to get a win like this over Miami, and also for NC State to get the win that they did over Georgia Tech. Why do you start with that, Clay? There were other games that went on, because to me that was the most consequential result of the college football weekend. Why? Because it makes it highly likely that Miami is not going to make the college football playoff unless they win out. We'll get into that. Or the ACC title game. And it also means that there will not be an undefeated team in the ACC championship game. Why does that matter? Well, because whoever wins the ACC championship game, I think is going to be the only team that makes the college football playoff. Maybe it will be Louisville. Maybe it will be Virginia. Maybe it will be Pitt. Who knows? Maybe it'll be Georgia Tech. Maybe it could still end up being Miami, even though they're pretty far down right now. The biggest impact there is one playoff spot likely for the ACC. We already know one playoff spot likely for the Big 12. I think it's going to be Texas Tech, but certainly BYU is having a heck of a season, as we will discuss. So how do you break that down? Why does that matter? Well, if you give 5 spots, one for the ACC, Big 10, Big 12, and the Big 10 champs, right? All the Power 4 conferences. And then you add in the non-power conference team to also be a champion. That is 5. If you figure that Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon are all likely to be in from the Big 10, one of those likely to be the champion, that gets us to 7, okay, total bids. And if you think Notre Dame, okay, they may have a shot at 10-2, although 10-2 Miami, that would be an interesting debate and discussion given Miami's head-to-head, then you end up in a situation where even if Notre Dame got in, you still have, theoretically, a bunch of spots available for the SEC, which we will get into because there are still 8 SEC teams alive for the college football playoff. There are 7 Big Ten teams still alive for the college football playoff. And we will run through all of that here in a little bit. In the SEC, big wins for Oklahoma over Tennessee. Congratulations to the Sooners. To me, this was a game that Tennessee gave away. And it's a crushing loss for Tennessee because it ends any playoff bid chances. And it means whatever happens in the game against Florida later in the year doesn't matter. It means whatever happens in the game later in the year against Vanderbilt doesn't matter in a grand scheme of things. Disappointing season for Tennessee, 6-3, bad loss. I think Tennessee should have won that game. They gave it away. Congratulations to Oklahoma. They found a way to win in Neyland at night, about as electric of a road atmosphere as you could walk into, as good of a home field advantage as is out there in sports. Tennessee dominated early, didn't do it on the field. Oklahoma's kicker running around in some panties, bombed through a 55-yard field goal twice, 2 55-yard field goals and a 51-yard field goal. He was the difference. And then, obviously, Tennessee had some bad turnovers, including when they were driving to go up double figures in this game, double digits in the game early. Big play defensively. The right tackle looked like the true freshman, although I'm not in charge of the gambling. I'm in charge of the gambling. We didn't have a good week in gambling. Not in charge of the blocking assignments on the offensive line, but it looked like true freshman David Sanders just went inside, left at the edge wide open. Garantano, good Lord. Garantano back in the day got blindsided a lot. Aguilar got blindsided. Ball comes out, scoop and score. Miles Kitselman's not able to get down. The Oklahoma defensive end who made a heck of a play, returned it all the way for the touchdown. And then later, bad interceptions that came from Aguilar. He played, in that sense, a little bit like Garantano. Threw up the ball twice for, frankly, indefensibly bad interceptions that probably took points off the board for Tennessee, certainly allowed Oklahoma to score at the end of the half, certainly on one of those picks. And so you break all this down, and it was just a game that Tennessee gave away. It's a disappointing season for Tennessee. Credit to Josh Heupel that he's created a world where expectation is that you should make the college football playoff, but they're not going to do it this year. Oklahoma is still alive. Texas is still alive. Congratulations, Texas. Arch Manning seems to be rounding in form. I know The Athletic called him the biggest bust that we have ever seen in college athletics. That was, of course, ridiculous. But Arch Manning's starting to play better. Diego Pavia's late comeback did not allow Vanderbilt to get back into the mix. And so, as a result, we have 8 different teams that are potentially around in the SEC for the college football playoff. And I'll go into, and obviously I write all about this in my starting 11, which I would encourage all of you to be reading every single Monday. Lots of deep dive into the world of college football. My SEC power rankings, I'll get to my power rankings overall for the top 10. I've got Texas A&M still number 1. They're on the road against Missouri this week. Should be interesting to see how that comes out. Alabama in the 2nd spot. They were on a bye. Get ready for LSU now, having fired Brian Kelly. Georgia in the 3rd spot. Ole Miss in the 4. Ole Miss got the win over South Carolina. I think that really goes a long way towards cementing the Ole Miss playoff spot. Even if Ole Miss lost to Florida, it won't be an easy game, or lost to Mississippi State, Egg Bowl is never easy. As long as Ole Miss doesn't lose both of those games, the Rebels are going to be into the playoff. I've got Texas now, number 5 overall. Texas gearing up for their big game against Georgia, which is a playoff elimination game effectively for Texas, as is essentially every game for the remainder of the year. But Texas, the Longhorns, to their credit, have fought back, still only have one SEC loss all year on the road against Florida. Vandy now has to win out, has to get to 10-2 in order to make the college football playoff. I think that's going to be tough to pull off. Oklahoma's still alive, as we said, big win on the road against Tennessee. And Missouri, who was on a bye week and is now hosting Texas A&M, has to win out as well, even with the issues at quarterback. I've got Tennessee at 9. Disappointing season for Volunteers. LSU at 10. Ditto on the disappointing season. Florida Gators 11. South Carolina 12. Florida, by the way, played Georgia hard, to their credit, even with interim head coach in that game. South Carolina, Mississippi State, by the way, Kirby taking the knee to end the game, to not cover, and also for the under to hit. That was a tough one if you had the over and you had Georgia. I had the over. I didn't have Georgia, but taking a knee at the 1 basically to avoid the cover. Mississippi State, Kentucky, Auburn, and Arkansas. Mississippi State, congratulations, gets the win. Kentucky gets the win on the road against Auburn, 10-3, and that was it for Hugh Freeze. Auburn now has fired Hugh Freeze. We've got 4 SEC jobs open already. I don't know who's going to leave. A lot of talk about Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri. A lot of talk about Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. Auburn, Arkansas, Florida, and LSU all now open, along with a lot of other jobs, right? UCLA, Virginia Tech, Penn State. This is going to be a chaotic offseason for sure, but in particular in the SEC, that is 4 big jobs that are now wide open. My top 10, and I'll break this down a lot more to Wednesday on the OutKick show. I've got Texas A&M 1, Indiana 2, Ohio State 3, Alabama 4, Georgia 5, Ole Miss 6, BYU 7, Oregon 8, Texas Tech 9, and Georgia Tech 10. A lot of talk about a thing that impacted many of you, and I'm recording this show early on Monday morning. So it'll be up in the afternoon. Maybe we will get some form of resolution in the dispute between YouTube and Disney. But the real loser here, sports fans. And if we don't have a resolution by Monday, I'm going to dive into this in deep detail and try to write a long-form piece on why all of this matters, what the significance of it is in many different respects. But to me, this is a sign of the fans losing out as $3.4 trillion Google company, that is their market cap right now, and $200 billion market cap Disney fight over something that really boils down to whether fans should just be able to watch games. Now, I don't have YouTube. I've got Comcast. At my house, I am a unk, as my boys call me. I am the old guy in the room who is always probably going to have cable and always wants to watch everything on with a remote control. But it seems quite clear that ESPN is almost completely relying at this point in time on SEC fans to flood complaints to Google, YouTube, in order to get ESPN the money that they want to get. And this is where I'm going to dive into it on a deeper level, and I wrote about it a little bit in the starting 11. But if I'm Google/YouTube, I'm looking at this and saying, wait a minute, why don't I just go buy the SEC rights myself when they come up in the early 2030s instead of allowing ESPN to extort us over this? And I also think bigger picture for ESPN. It hasn't been talked about a lot, but their overall rights package has diminished significantly in terms of games you have to have. They only have one basic NFL game every week. I know sometimes they have doubleheaders in Monday Night Football, but they have one NFL game a week. They have 1/3 of the NBA, and I'm going to talk about the NBA Finals here in a moment. They have the NHL, I believe. They've got the ACC, which matters, but if you look at the ACC, it's basically become, in many ways, a subsidiary of the SEC. And I'm not trying to be dismissive there, but every ACC school wishes it could be in the SEC or the Big Ten. And right now, Clemson is a disaster. You've got Florida State, which has just lost its way. Miami, which consistently can't manage to actually win anything. and in the middle part of the season. They start off the year hot, and then they just flounder. That's the story of Mario Cristobal so far. You got Georgia Tech, which I give credit to what they've built with Brent Key, but I bet even Georgia Tech fans feel a bit like this start to the season that was undefeated had been a bit wobbly, and certainly NC State exposed that. And some of you are saying, okay, Clay, why do you still have Georgia Tech in your top 10? And my answer is because there's not really a team that deserves to be 10. You could go Virginia, but they lost to the same team, NC State, that beat Georgia Tech, and they don't have, to my mind, as many good wins, even as Georgia Tech does. I could go with Notre Dame, but Notre Dame lost to Miami, so I think Miami should be above them given they have the same record. You could go with Texas, but Texas was very fortunate to get past in overtime Mississippi State and also Kentucky. I know that they played well here lately, but in the win over Vanderbilt and in the last 10 minutes of the game against Mississippi State. But Texas is very fortunate that they were able to get those wins given how poorly they had played already. And so I ended up with Georgia Tech at 10. Again, I think you look at the ACC as the subsidiary, and you say basically the only real asset that ESPN has that has a passionate, we must watch the games audience is now the SEC, because they have everything: football, basketball, and baseball. And so, again, I know football drives is the straw that stirs the drink here, but nobody cares about most of the NBA games that ESPN has. Even if you're a big NFL fan, you get plenty of games without watching Monday Night Football. I know a lot of you watch Monday Night Football. You never miss an NFL game because you just love football to such an extent. Fantasy gambling certainly plays in there. But we'll see if Monday Night Football also doesn't air, but it's just one game. So you don't get that many fan bases, and it's not a consistent fan base. Basically, the pressure point here for ESPN is SEC fans. And if I'm looking around and observing this as Google YouTube, and I'm seeing the amount of intensity, and I bet it's a great deal of fervor that is being produced by the SEC, I'm just thinking to myself, why would I let ESPN continue to control all of their games going forward? This is also a risk, candidly, of putting all your eggs in one basket, because the triple header on ABC is great and the ratings are through the roof, but I do think there's an argument that it opens you up to being in a position like this where it becomes very, very difficult. So I will write on this if we don't get a resolution in the next 48 hours or so in a significant way. Everybody talks about the fact that Major League Baseball is struggling. We hear this talking point all the time, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. But first, we got a PrizePicks pick for all of you. You can play in California. You can play in Texas. You can play in Georgia. You can play all over the country. 13 million plus subscribers and players. You can download the PrizePicks app. It's free. You play $5. You get back $50. Play $5. You get back $50. Here are my picks. Dak, less than 268.5 passing yards, and Jacoby Brissett, less than 250.5 passing yards in Monday Night Football tonight. That is PrizePicks.com, code OutKick. PrizePicks.com, code OutKick. Dak, less than 268.5 passing yards, and Jacoby Brissett, less than 250.5. That is my PrizePicks pick for Monday Night Football tonight, code OutKick. Major League Baseball Game 7. What an incredible series. I was watching Tennessee, Oklahoma. I was also watching Game 7. Ratings numbers have come out. 26 million viewers for Major League Baseball Game 7. Congrats to the Dodgers on getting the win. It was an improbable victory. So many tough losses. 3 brutal losses for Blue Jays fans, including back-to-back Game 6 and Game 7 losses when they felt like they had the series completely won. In both those games, they had control of it. And so, to me, what an incredible series. Even with a team in Canada, a 8-year high in viewership for Major League Baseball. I'm going to talk about this on my OutKick show in a couple of days. But rumors of Major League Baseball's cultural decline have been greatly exaggerated. 26 million viewers for Major League Baseball Game 7. Just 16 million viewers back in June for OKC Indiana Game 7. Let me repeat that. These are head-to-head, cannot miss, big-time games. The best signature offering of Major League Baseball, as all of you would know, Major League Baseball Game 7 World Series, 26 million people watch. Major League Baseball Game 7, biggest, most signature product, doesn't happen very often, 26 million viewers. NBA Finals, they got a Game 7 between OKC and Indiana. Just 16 million people watched. Why did the NBA Finals do 10 million fewer viewers than Major League Baseball? And why does the media tell you all the time, oh my goodness, the NBA, it's worth so much money. Oh my goodness. The reality is the NBA brand collapsed with woke sports. I write about it in my new book, which you can find in bookstores everywhere, Balls. But what is going on here that 10 million fewer sports fans watch OKC Indiana Game 7, which was available on ABC, than 26 million Game 7 Fox. Best offering possible from MLB and the NBA Finals. I think this is a pretty strong sign that Major League Baseball has actually built a decent culture around its sport, and fans are responding favorably to it, including getting games done faster. This is not the best number MLB could have hoped for. They could have ended up, for instance, with the Dodgers against the Yankees. Got a Game 7 there. You probably end up with 35 million viewers. I'm just spitballing here. But instead of a Canadian team, a big brand on the East Coast, like the Yankees, would probably be the best matchup if you ended up with Yankees going up against the Dodgers. That's probably the best one that MLB could script. But 26 million. I understand OKC Indiana is not the best matchup, but it could have been worse. You could have had a Raptors team involved as well, because Canadian teams tend to drive down American viewership, drive up Canadian viewership. So just a data point that you won't see or heard discussed very much out there. 10 million more people watched Major League Baseball's Game 7 this year than the NBA Finals Game 7 this year. What happened? Why? I might need to write on this too. I certainly will be talking about it more. But I've got a ton of work to do to knock out a great bevy of different media. You will be seeing me everywhere as I am promoting this book up in New York City this week, traveling all over the place, doing a lot of media. The book is Balls. It is out tomorrow. Please go buy it. DBAP, unless you need to SBAP. This has been OutKick, the show. Go download the PrizePicks app. Get your picks in. Code OutKick for $50 when you play $5. Thank all of you. And one more time, please do me a favor. Go buy balls. See ya.